And good afternoon, and welcome to the Rotary Hour. This is past District Governor Megan Jones Holt for Central New Jersey, which encompasses Hunterdon, Middlesex, Mercer, Somerset, and Union counties. This show is dedicated to answering the ultimate question of what is Rotary, and each week we are here to impart our knowledge onto you. It's a beautiful March day. Happy first day of March. We've got a full studio here today. We're going to be talking about food. I think that's been the topic for the past couple of weeks. Actually, it's been all about food. We had the Hunterdon County soup cook-off last night, and we're gonna. I think that you guys sent me the link for that, so I can actually share that, which I think I did already. But today we're going to talk about another upcoming event that's district-wide, which is Eat, Drink, and Share. And I'm going to introduce my guest over here across the table from me. We have past District Governor Ellie Ezra. We have the chair of Eat, Drink, and Share, Pam Steiner. And we have past District Governor John Walensky, who
Very
I just
good.
found out is retired from life.
Enough from life, please.
Welcome. So actually, the reason why we have so many wonderful guests in here today is because everyone's going to kind of talk a little bit about the different things. And we're going to start with John because he's actually the past district governor who started the Eat, Drink, and Share program. So why don't you tell us a little bit about it and why you started this, John?
Okay. My term as district governor was 97 to 98. And the first Eat, Drink, and Share was held in November of 1997. Although it wasn't called Eat, Drink, and Share, at that time it was called A Taste of Rotary International. And it was changed the following year to Eat, Drink, and Share. Personally, I would have preferred Rotary Foundation Celebration, but maybe someday. But anyway, to answer your question, the reason why we started this was really to create more focus on the Rotary Foundation. And also along the way to have some fellowship, have some fun, not to have a regular seminar or a program, just something different. And I know there's charity balls and there's all kind of things, but it's very costly. So we thought this approach would be very good because if we played our cards right and have the vendors come in and have their food, and our net costs wouldn't be all that great. So that's the reason why we started, really to make an awareness of Rotary Foundation, raise some money for a foundation, which it has done for the last 20 years, and have fun along the way.
And it's been very successful over these many years, correct?
To my knowledge, it has been. Yeah, I haven't been as close to it the last couple of years, but it always seems to go well. People look forward to it.
What kind of funding, what kind of money are we talking about that we raise for this through this event for the foundation?
Well, on the financial side, I'm not that close to it the last several years.
Do you remember when you?
I think overall, through the years, we've averaged anywhere from 40 to 50,000 net.
Yeah. Is that pretty much what we do now, Pam, or has it changed?
We're not quite as larger amount this year. In the last couple of years, unfortunately, we've lost some clubs.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, our amounts for Eat, Drink, and Share are down. But we anticipate sending over $30,000.
That's still nothing to sneeze at.
No.
That's very good.
Right.
So tell us a little. Now, Eat, Drink, and Share typically is in November. This year, we've moved it to March.
We moved it to March because we had an issue that came up in November. And we actually canceled it. But we received such wonderful response from Rotarians about how can we help? We want it to happen. Don't let it, die. We are coming to it that we thought, let's do it this year. So as we settled on a date, this became a good time to have enough of a chance to speak with vendors and plus get it going before the end of the district governor's year.
It should be interesting to see if the trend picks and changes up a little bit from moving it from November to March.
That will be.
Yeah.
And we won't know that till after it happens.
Now it's always on a Monday because that's typically when the majority of restaurants are closed.
Exactly.
So it's going to tell us a little bit about where it's going to be and all the details.
Well, it's going to be held on Monday, March 14th at the Pines Manor. We've been there a number of years. They've been very good to us, and that's on Route 27 in Edison. So what we have are restaurants and food purveyors who will come, display their food, give samples of their food, obviously. We have wines and spirits. from different distributors that will also be there. And it's a big social event. It's a night when the clubs come and bring their spouse and guests and friends and intermingle and sometimes get to meet people other Rotarians that they have not met before at other events or occasions.
It's also a great exposure for the restaurants because you're having it. You're attracting people from all the different counties, and I know with me personally, I've actually found some great restaurants in the New Brunswick area, which is not someplace I normally go,
Right.
and have gone back and frequent them. So it's really good exposure for the restaurants.
And I think Rotarians are kind of known to be willing to go out to eat and spend some good
really?
money on it. I think that's sort of a
We were just talking about food before we went on the air, so yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's good exposure in that direction is that they have a nice crowd that's kind of built in when the restaurants come.
So can you give us a sneak preview of some of the restaurants that are going to be there?
Well, we have this year, it's interesting when John mentioned about calling it international in the title. We have a variety of international foods this year. It's just, unfortunately, because of St. Patty's Day and the time of year, a couple of our staples that have been there for many years will not. But we've picked up other ones that are just kind of amazing. We have Latin food. We have Mexican. We have American Southern food. We have a vendor that does chutneys and salad dressings and teas and things like that. His recipes are inspired by where he's lived in Asia and Africa and, things like that. So we've really picked up interesting in a variety of cultures of food that will be there this year. Even our liquors, our spirits that will be sampled are companies that import from many other countries, and it's just kind of fun to watch that happen and see how it's changed from being just American food to being all these different ethnic foods.
So are we going to have St. Patrick's food?
I have not heard of anybody doing St. Patrick's food.
At least some green beer, come on.
I don't know. We have a craft brewery, so maybe he's doing something like that.
Who is that? Is that
It's actually this year it's Climax, who's in Roselle Park.
Oh, okay.
Climax Brewery. And I don't know. Maybe he is going to do green beer. I didn't ask him what he was bringing.
That's funny. So other than eating and drinking at this event, what's we talked about the sharing part, which is getting to know the different Rotarians. We also have a silent auction that you do, correct?
We do a silent auction, and we have sports memorabilia we often get. I don't know everything that's in yet because it'll come that night. But we often get sometimes vacation homes and, of course, baskets of cheer and food and all different items that come. And there is a silent auction. We will have a salsa-type band there this year. Ooh. That will be performing. It's a group of young people with a singer, and we're going to lay it out so that it doesn't bother the vendors. You can still talk to them when you go and ask them about their food, but it'll be some nice entertainment. And we always try to do a 50-50, just all other ways that we can raise some money to send to the Rotary International Foundation.
So one of my favorite foods, actually, Mr. John Walensky shared with me. Right? Well, he hooked me up with Julie's Bakery down in Roselle. Oh, my gosh.
Yes, and she will be there.
Yeah. She has those custard cupcakes.
Yeah, he was like, you got to come check these custard cakes out. They're amazing. It's a Portuguese bakery, and that's a Portuguese specialty, the little custard cups.
In fact, it got so popular, she opened up a facility devoted exclusively to that, where she delivers to other bakeries.
Really?
Yeah.
Did not know that.
Did not either. Yeah.
They're good.
They are good. We should get her. And in fact, I know when I go, that's usually the first place I hit, so I can make sure they don't run out. Because there have been years when she's run out, and I'm like, no. That's pretty funny.
That is fun.
So, other than, we also do, typically you highlight different organizations that are there. What is it, the AmeriCorps, the kids that come?
Oh, Interact.
No, it's not Interact.
Okay.
Oh, geez, it's out of Addison area. For some reason, it's why am I drawing up?
Yeah,
a
I think it
Edison-
was the
Edison
Interact.
Youth
A
Club.
Rotaract. I think Rotaract.
No, it wasn't an
No, it's
Rotary.
Ed-
It was like
Edison-
America Works or something like
Is
that.
it a
Yeah.
group of, of students
Yeah,
that cooked?
and they did cook.
I don't know if they're coming. We've
Okay.
approached a couple, and I don't know if they're going to attend. We have not heard from them at all this
But
year.
we are going to have Rotaract and Interact.
We are. I know we're definitely having Interact students from Edison,
Okay.
and they come and help,
Okay.
and they're a tremendous help.
So how long does this take to put together? Because you've been sharing this for quite some time now.
I've been the chair responsible for it for the last couple of years. We had a good base, fortunately, to work from. We had, many good committee people who talked to a lot of restaurants. So that's made the work a lot easier. And we have a group of people who went out who really started right after the first of the year to go and pursue restaurants, the previous vendors and then new vendors. I actually have to say that January to March is a little skimpy. I think that, it'll go back to being a little bit longer when there's not a change of date.
Right.
They will start putting a little more time in. But like as far as clubs committing to come and Rotary people, Rotarians committing to come, I think it's like a lot of what's going on today. It's last minute.
Oh yes.
The last week it was,
Yeah.
you
I
hear
know.
from people.
You do. It's kind of scary, but
Yeah.
Pam, do we still put out a pamphlet which or program? That's not a program, but highlights all the restaurants and some Rotarians who've
Yeah.
contributed as well. We still do that.
We will not this year. What we decided to do is to change it a little bit, and hopefully make it. I don't want to say updated because I don't want to make it sound like that's out of date.
Oh, it probably is 97.
Well,
Give me a break.
the idea. But what we're doing this year is Andy West, who's a Rotarian, is.
for the Clinton Sunrise Rotary Club, I must say.
I'm sorry.
From the Clinton Sunrise Rotary Club.
Oh, I didn't realize that it was the same one. He is putting together a video show, and we are going to have a couple of screens there that night that will have things from the vendors like logos and ads, and also from the clubs. And they've been told that they can send us, quote, an ad style page to put up, or pictures from their club, or both. And then we are going to do more of a trifold type of thing that fits easily in a pocket for the guests to take home. And that will list the restaurants and the spirits people and where they can be reached, their address, their contact.
Every time you talk about spirits, I'm thinking, okay, Dad, where are you?
I tell them to send us good vibes.
Yeah, it's, good vibes.
Yeah.
So how many, is it mainly vineyards that are going to be there, or when you talk about the spirits?
No, it's distributors.
Okay.
The one brewery, the craft brewery, but the others are distributors who bring samples of the things that they import. And
So other than the craft brewery and wine, what other kinds of spirits will be there?
we have someone who does bourbon
Ooh, there you go.
and sangria.
And sangria. Okay.
Yes. Yes. So
Very cool.
that along with the wines and the beer.
And did you like hire out Uber to come and pick everybody up and take them home after drinking all that?
That's
I
a
know.
no, right, Pam?
Right, right. It's small glasses. It's a tasting, and hopefully people won't taste
Too much.
too much.
So they can't drive home.
Actually, it is kind of interesting because we do provide soda also.
Yeah. Well, that's usually why I bring my husband so he can be the designated driver.
I do the same thing.
You have us sit from about 20 tables. and we have a
Unfortunately, he's not
problem.
going to be here this year, so I got to find someone to be my designated driver. Not that I drink that much or anything, mind you.
But still,
I'm your official chauffeur, don't forget.
Yeah, you and I, that's right, you are. Maybe I'll hook a ride up with you, John.
Sure, that's fine.
I'll drive to your house, and if I get pulled over in Hunter
I'll
County,
meet you along the highway, too.
There you go.
Whatever you want to do.
there you go. Is Patty coming?
Probably not.
Oh, okay.
Because it just doesn't, it's just hard for her, for where she works, to come home and
To
back.
get there back,
It's
yeah.
just- it
It
just
is
doesn't-
tough when you're out here in this side of the 287 area
Right.
to go, because it's right smack in the middle of
Right.
rush hour. So, hey, you really got to want to be there to go. So let's talk a little bit about the band. You said it's a salsa band.
I don't know a lot about it yet.
Okay.
But I understand it's 5 pieces with a singer. They come from Speak Music School, and I unfortunately do not know where that's located.
Okay.
And except it's somewhere in the Edison Woodbridge area.
Okay. And that's really where most of the restaurants come, are from the Middlesex area.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's kind of hard for restaurants to come out of that other areas and bring all that food.
Well, it's interesting because Union County also gets a fair amount of them. I don't know why, but there's a number of restaurants coming from the Union County area.
Okay.
Sometimes it's a matter of just one person telling another
Right.
and making the contact.
Making that connection.
Yeah. And the timing. We unfortunately had a couple people who couldn't come because it's St. Patty's weekend or weekend. They have big parties in that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the band, they promise that they won't overwhelm, but my fingers are crossed. One of our Rotarians knows the band and has heard them, and so I'm trusting him that.
So are we going to get our district governor Hal out there and do a little salsa?
I don't know. I hadn't thought of that.
Oh, I think we should.
I think that's
and
a good thought.
Everybody can pin dollars on him as he dances. Another way to raise some money. That's what we do in New Orleans at weddings. You pin dollars on the bride when she dances.
Really?
Yeah.
I hate to ask such a dumb question, but what do you pin them on with?
With a straight pin.
With a little.
Yeah, you just take $1 and you pin it right on the dress. As she comes around, you pin it on the dress. That's how you pay $1 or whatever to dance with her.
Ellie, I'm going to put you in charge of that.
Yeah.
Been there, done that.
Why don't you tell us who your committee is this year?
I'm going to apologize because I do not have an official committee.
Okay.
It's people from a couple of different clubs, more than a couple, who volunteer to go out and talk to people. So it's kind of funny. We've gotten responses back from restaurants that were approached by people who weren't, quote, on the committee.
Oh, okay.
So it's not like a list of people. Except Ellie is chair of Eat Drink of the silent auction, and he has helped with that night with Bev Howard and Lynn Falanga.
So do you know some of the prizes in the auction?
Very few. The clubs tend to bring prizes the night of the event,
So
just
they
before it
don't.
starts.
It's a surprise.
Well, most of it is a surprise. Some of them will let us know what they're bringing and what it should be priced at and what the increments are. But we do have some really good ones. We have one that will include a house down the shore, right on the ocean.
Is that Ahmed's?
That's Ahmed's house, yeah, and he usually
Past
puts that
District
up.
Governor Ahmed.
Right. Yeah, he'll put that up for a week down there, and I think the bidding on that starts at $1,000. It's worth around $3,000 or $4,000 for the week down there. And then there's some other that are really good. A lot of baskets of various things. One year we had a Rotary Club that brought in a basket of about 40 different types of beer in one basket, and that thing went for an outrageous price. It's interesting. This will be the last year, I think, that we're going to have just the silent auction with people bidding on the silent auction. Starting next year with the incoming governor, Charlie Minton, we're going to be having an auction online for about a month before the event. Because what happens with Eat, Drink, and Share is you've got over 1,000 Rotarians, and about 300 to 350 of them come to Eat, Drink, and Share. The others don't, for various reasons. But if you have the auction online for a whole month prior to that, number one, we could get a lot better gifts from all over the country,
Right.
from various corporations, and we could start that process 6 months before the event, and then we could start putting these up. For example, we already got a 1-week stay at Disney as a donation, and that's worth about $4,000.
That's very nice.
Right, and that was a free donation. So hopefully we're getting some donations in the form of cell phones and maybe an iPad from Apple. So that kind of thing. We want to put those up on a website and let people bid on those well before we get. So we're hoping to triple and quadruple the amount of money we make with the silent auction next year.
And then are you going to have actually the items at the Eat, Drink, and Share,
will
and
have-
people would
yeah.
be there auctioning on their phones, so it all goes through the same system?
Well, it depends. Those who no, because a lot of these major items that will be auctioned off online, many of these people may not come to Eat, Drink, and Share. Number one. So, and number two is when the auction is over, they're paying for it online. So they're putting in a credit card number with the details.
Right.
So they will have already won the auction. We will also have another, say, 75 to 100 items at the silent auction itself.
That's different from
That's
those?
different, yeah.
Okay.
So we'll service both. The intention is to try to make a lot more. The foundation needs money, and the more money we make, the more money our district gets back in the way of money that we could use for projects within our district.
Which is a good segue, because you're here to talk a little bit about the foundation, because you're the district's foundation.
Well, I was in charge of the foundation for 3 years. Yeah, I was director of the foundation. Foundation basically, Rotary International Foundation, basically created for humanitarian purposes, mainly to provide peace, goodwill, and things like that all over the world. But the real guts of it is the fact that the foundation funds many tens of thousands of projects all over the world, small, medium, and large. In our own district, we have foundation grants that are given to us for as little as $1,000 for local projects. But we once had a project in our district where we brought in over $400,000 from Rotary International's foundation. This was for something in Brazil where we built a village to take care of some street children that had been dropped off by their parents because they couldn't feed them, and these poor kids were sleeping in dumpsters at night with bugs and insects and whatnot. And we were able to build a little village and take them out of these dumpsters and take them off the streets, bring them in there, clean them physically, and then eventually train them and educate them, and either put them back out in society, or some of them actually stayed in the village and helped with other children that were coming in. That was a major project, but we have a lot of projects all over the world, and the Rotary Foundation gives us money for that. So while we're trying to come up with fundraisers all year long for the foundation, at the same time we're also filing for grants from the foundation so that we can do all of these projects. So anything we can do to make more money at Eat, Drink, and Share always helps, not just us, but it helps eventually all the people that we like to help out with projects.
And right now, the foundation has kind of changed their format a little bit over the years.
Yes.
They really are focusing on 6 areas.
They're focusing on 6 areas. Don't ask me what they are because I can't memorize all 6.
Let's see.
Yeah. Well, health is one of them, obviously.
Maternal.
Education.
There's the education component. They're all sustainable. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
We could go online and look at them, but
And of course,
how good are we at Rotary?
the one big global initiative obviously has been polio and the eradication of polio, and thank God we're now down to only 2 countries in the world with polio, and that is Pakistan and Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm.
And when you think about it, we started in 1975 when they had 350,000 new cases of polio that year. And last year we had all of 40 new cases. So we're down to 40 in the world. As of January 1st of this year, in the first 2 months this year, we've only had 1 case of 1 new polio patient in Pakistan. The way the United Nations works is we have to have a country free of polio for 3 years for it to be certified as polio free. So we need to have both of these countries go for 3 years without any new polio patients. And that's a huge initiative. So we're going to need a lot of money because we've got to keep providing the polio vaccine to millions of kids in these 2 countries. And the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation has given us a grant where they're willing to match $2 for one of our dollars. So up to a maximum of $70 million. So if Rotary International comes up with $35 million, they'll give us an additional $70 million. And that's what we're heavily working on all over the world now, because that will sustain us for at least another year and a half with all the polio vaccines that have to be provided. So that's where it's going. That's a global initiative.
Sure.
And once that is over, Rotary International will announce the next global initiative. I don't know what that is.
But in the meantime, as you mentioned before, with the grants that come in, and let's talk specifically about District 7510, and you mentioned the throwaway kids in Brazil, in that project where we got 400 in. Right now, as you said, there are these global grants where clubs here in this district can pair with a club in another country.
That's correct.
And that's how they create these really big sustainable projects where they're getting huge dollars.
That's correct. There are also some other projects that we're working on. A lot of districts are working on, and I'm hoping our district will be doing one. And that is, give you an example. I work with the Gift of Life, where we provide heart surgery for children. We've been bringing these kids in one at a time with one parent for the last 15, 18 years, and it's very painstaking and very expensive to do it. What we've been doing now with the Gift of Life in the last few years is we're trying to build facilities in hospitals in other countries and train their surgeons and their nurses to do the surgeries themselves. Mm-hmm. It's a long process. It takes about 2.5 to 3 years, costs about $2 million a piece. We've done it in Egypt. We're finishing one in Jamaica right now. We've done it in Poland. And my goal is to get one started in Peru, in Lima. And I'm working with the American ambassador there, who's trying to get us 5,000 square feet in the main general hospital in Lima. And if he gets that, then we will open up a foundation grant to try to get some money for that and file for a lot of other grants outside of Rotary. Not only do we have to equip that facility, but we will also have to bring one or two of their surgeons with nurses here, probably every 4 months for 2 weeks, to train them over a 2-year period. And then when that facility finally opens, we have to send a surgeon and 2 nurses from here every 2 weeks for the first 3 months to work with them down there. So it's a very expensive and very long and tedious process, but that's just one of many, many such projects. The Homes of Hope is another one,
Right.
where we're building houses in Ecuador and now again in Nepal, second Homes of Hope. These projects don't get funded entirely by the foundation, but every year we get to go to the foundation and request for some money. And some money could be $100,000, $200,000, $300,000.
Yeah. And then there's some of the smaller ones which you're not doing a global, you're doing them just internally in your own backyard.
That's correct.
I know my club has been a recipient of many of the district grants for different things that we've done in the town.
Rotary International likes it. The way they want you to handle it is they want a district or a club in this country to work with another club in another country, and they would like for them to have skin in the game, basically. You don't want to just send money one way. And I'll give you an example. When Katrina hit New Orleans, we actually got calls from Rotary clubs in Japan wanting to do a Rotary grant and a project in New Orleans to help rebuild some of the schools and the libraries and things like that. So the money doesn't just go out of the country. Sometimes it comes back
Right.
into the country, and that's the way it should work. You want both sides to have some skin in the game, but the projects are endless and the needs are endless.
They
but
are.
But we do whatever we can.
And so in the meantime, we have a little fun
Yes,
raising money.
Gotta
Yes.
have fun.
and we eat, we drink, and we share.
Primarily on the foundation, I think it's really it works toward world peace and understanding through educational, cultural, and humanitarian programs. I guess those are the 3 main areas, which now I understand are broken down into 6, which I wasn't aware of.
Yeah, I'm going to see if I can find it on the website.
Yeah.
'Cause, I mean, how many pastors and governors does it take to screw in a light bulb? Crying out loud.
And don't forget, we have educational programs, study exchange students, what have you. There's a lot to it. A lot to it.
Keep on talking while we're looking it up. I'm sure
don't-
you can.
I
You
don't
said
know.
you could fill an hour. Come on,
I
John.
don't know that I think they stopped the ambassadorial scholars, though. I think that's stopped, if I'm not mistaken.
But they didn't stop it completely. It's on an
Every
each
other
district.
year or-
It's up to the district. So each district
Oh,
gets a
okay.
package of money, and they can either use it for ambassadorial scholars, or they can use it for all kinds of other grants.
Oh, okay.
So
All right.
some districts still do that.
That's a great program.
Yeah, they still do that. A lot of districts still do that.
This is ridiculous. I can't. I mean, I'm seeing it. I got there. How do I do this?
You have
While
to
you're
roll your
online,
finger.
Megan, while you're online, may I make one comment? That just in case someone who is not in Rotary is listening to the show and would like to come to Eat, Drink, and Share and would like the details, they can go on rotarynj.org and find information about Eat, Drink, and Share.
Oh yes, definitely. Now, can people buy tickets?
They can pay at the door.
And you have got plenty of tickets available. Oh, so here, let's see. We have the Rotary Foundation Eat, Drink, and Share Committee, Pam.
She's it.
No, there's other people on here. I don't know how up to date this is. You've got Byron Miller
Is our foundation chair this year?
and Mel Kivo, District Governor. That
So
should
this
say
is
it.
last year.
There should be a PDG. Yeah, this is 2015. Y'all haven't updated your website. Did you find the areas of focus?
They're
Okay.
promoting peace, fighting disease, providing clean water, saving mothers and children, supporting education, growing local economies, and the last one is resources and references for all of the others. So those are the 6 key areas.
Right, and this model came about. I'm trying to think. I know it was before I became district governor.
So it was about 3 years ago.
Well, no, I was district
No,
governor
before
4 years
that.
ago.
4
It was
years
before
ago.
that. So I'm going to say maybe 6
7 years ago.
6 years, because I know I was in training.
Yeah. Did you ever finish that training?
I was gonna say, you know what? I'm waiting for it. I opened that line for you. And I remember it was everyone, because it was my first year I was in training when I was a newly appointed. I was the nominee, and I went to a zone, and they were talking about the new foundation and how it was going to be changing. And I know there was a lot of pushback, like everything, because people don't like change.
See, in Megan's year, she appointed me to the very first position. I was the official district chauffeur.
That's right.
I drove her through all the Rotary clubs.
He did. He did. He was my trainer and chauffeur.
Yeah, I forgot about the trainer.
Yeah. Wait. But yeah, so he trained me when he drove me.
Not bad.
How many people get that as a district governor?
I think
Not
you're
many,
the only
I don't
one.
think.
John's year was also the first year that we started Team Rotary.
There you go, the newsletter.
Oh, really?
You were such an innovative district governor,
Well,
John.
Team Rotary, which stands for Together Each Achieves More, Team Rotary was in my year, but in all fairness, Ellie's the guy who thought of it. And Ellie actually had a newspaper. It was actually circulated to every single Rotarian in our district. Of course, now we have email. It's a whole different ballgame. But back then, we didn't have that.
Yeah, we
So,
actually mailed the newspaper to everyone's
yeah,
house.
yeah. And also, I think Ellie was relying upon ads to support the cost
Right.
of all of that. Well, we never really were able to cover our costs. And I know for a fact Ellie put a lot of money out of his own pocket from his own business to cover the expense of that paper. But it was a good thing. Because prior to that, Rotary, I guess they still do, every month the governor has to issue a letter to each club president and club secretary. So by us doing that, that eliminated that requirement as such, where every Rotarian in our district received Team Rotary.
And it's really funny because I know we've had these conversations before from when the year that you were district governor, which was
97, 98.
97, 98, and how much it changed from when I became district
Oh,
governor,
yeah,
which was, when was I district
But change is
governor?
good,
11,
in most
12.
cases.
I was 11, 12, I think. Time flies. But it's changed dramatically. Because I know you talked about all the things that you had to do, and I didn't have to do them because we were in the age of
Oh, yeah.
digital,
Yeah.
and we got to do a lot of that filing and stuff online.
Right. Well, see, when we visited clubs, generally what happened is an hour and a half before the meeting, the governor would meet with the president and secretary and have a half-hour meeting. Then the governor would meet with all the officers and directors, another half-hour meeting. Then you would meet with key chairs, another half-hour meeting. Then you would go into your meeting, do your presentation, and then the governor had to write back to the club with suggestions on how they might improve their club. Not that they have to take it, but that was the thought. And also the report would go to Rotary International. Then in 97, 98, they came out with a new program. I started to implement it. I didn't do it fully because it took time to do. We had area representatives, and they came out with this program, assistant governors. So now what happens is, I guess the assistant governor writes a lot of those reports in. But before, it was a bear. Jeez, you do 3 meetings a day, and with all the correspondence back and forth, and thinking of all the suggestions to the clubs, and they had their goals and objectives, and it was an easy thing to do. But more importantly, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to make suggestions to the club, which again they could take or leave. But often enough they did.
And we also had a tradition in the district where when the district governor visited the club, the incoming governors, the district treasurer, and the district secretary all went with the governor to visit the club. It was not unusual for 4, 5, or 6 people to show up at the visit. And like John said, it was a 2.5-hour visit when you included all the meetings before the club meeting. And if you tried to do a lunch one day and a dinner that same day, you
You'd
were
be
attend-
back to
Yeah.
back.
back
Yeah.
to back. It was pretty much back to back. I mean,
I lost
especially-
my business over, as a matter of fact, but
Yeah.
I knew that going into it. So
Yeah, well, nobody rode their bicycle to a Rotary meeting until
that's true. Yeah.
Okay.
not until yeah.
until that whack job at the year after me did it.
But actually, it was really a commitment.
Although he never rode his bike to my club.
It was a commitment back there because you actually went with the governor. Well, when Ralph Winter was governor, for example, I was I think we called it assistant governor. Now it's deputy governor. But I went to all the meetings with Ralph. Then the year after he served, Groundy served. Then I went as the incoming governor. Then when I was a governor, so I had visits to clubs three times on official basis. But then, of course, you had dinners and lunches, and
Right.
picnics, and God knows what. So
I
a
visited
lot of
all the
time
clubs.
commitment.
I visited all the clubs with Adrian Bazura, and it got to the point. When you listen to the president's speech, and it's pretty much the same speech,
Right.
with very little variation. At one point, we were at the I think the Hamilton Club, and she got to the middle of the speech and she forgot her lines.
And you gave
I
them to her?
prompted her from the audience, and she continued because at that point I had heard it like 22
Right.
times already. It was like, you know it in your sleep.
I had the same thing with past assistant governor Pat Groundy. He had stayed overnight in one of the local hotels while he was visiting the Hillsborough Club, which is a breakfast club. Or at least it was then. I guess it still is. Anyway, he was late, and we're
No,
waiting
actually,
and
they're at
waiting
night.
and
Hillsborough's
waiting.
at your dinner club.
Yeah.
So-
They're an evening club.
Well, anyway, he was just late, so they were getting impatient. So I got up and I started, as Ellie was saying, I started his spiel because I knew it by heart.
How times have changed.
Yeah.
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 The economy does not help Rotary.
No, it does not.
But then, on the other hand, it doesn't help any nonprofit. If you look around these days, nonprofits, service organizations, as well as religious organizations, are all struggling in this economy. Not just economically, but membership-wise. You know, and it's not unusual. This has happened before. Every time we've had a recession, you see the numbers go down. Every time we come out of the recession, the numbers go up. It's just a fact of life, and we have to learn to live with it and try to survive through these recessions.
Yeah.
And I fully expect it all to come back in the next 2-3 years, hopefully.
Fortunately, every dollar you put into the Rotary Foundation is spent on Rotary Foundation because the money's invested for a 3-year period. And with that interest and what have you, then it pays for the programs as we go forward. So it's truly for every dollar you give, it goes somewhere. 100%.
And it really is one of the, as they rate non-for-profit organizations and where you put your money in for your annual giving. It's one of the top 5,
Five, right?
Right.
Yeah.
which says a lot.
Then, of course, each Rotarian, once they achieve $1,000 of contributions into Rotary Foundation, they become a Paul Harris Fellow, which was named after our founder. So for every $1,000, you get I guess it's what are they now? I forget. It was a blue stone was the sapphire. Well, it started off with the red stone.
No, that's
A ruby,
afterwards.
was it ruby?
It's blue. It's sapphire. Then it goes to the ruby.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Okay, sapphire, ruby, then you get
And
into
then a
diamond
diamond.
level, right?
Rotarians do like pins.
Well, it's a recognition. You get to $10,000.
Yeah.
You get a diamond in your Paul Harris pin,
I
which
agree.
says that you're a major donor. And
I think it's 10, 25, 50, 100, and God
Right.
knows what.
Yep.
But
and we have one in our district who has donated 100,000,
mhm.
and that's
He's in our club.
in your club, Sasi Patel.
Yeah, Salvo Bridgewater Club.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I met with him for breakfast right here in Flemington one morning to take the last 50,000 from him, and he made me pay for breakfast.
I don't
What do
blame
you
him.
expect?
I don't
Right.
blame him.
Could donate.
And I went to the district governor, who was Adrian at the time. I said, Adrian, I got a $50,000 donation for the foundation during your year. Would you reimburse me for my breakfast that I had to pay for? And she said, absolutely not. This is Rotary. You pay for that out of your pocket.
There you go.
But you know what? If I could get $50,000 from people, I'd pay for breakfast every day of the
There you
week,
go.
and twice on
That's for
Sundays.
sure.
Without a doubt.
So the foundation chair now is Byron Miller,
Yes.
who we've had on this show before, and he really is an advocate for the Clean Water Initiative that out of the 6
Yeah.
areas.
I think
of
that's
focus
what his
we just
company
talked
does,
about.
right? Isn't he the water, clean water?
Mhm.
Right.
He sells water, yeah. He
Yeah.
sells water and water systems.
Yeah.
Water systems, right.
And he's done a lot of work with water all over the world. I mean,
He has.
he's been to Haiti a couple of times. He's
Yep.
been to Africa. He's done some tremendous work in the field of water.
I know when I first joined Rotary, one of the projects my club was doing was building a well in Africa. It was a water project. It was one of the first projects I ever can recollect that we were doing
Did you commute?
internationally. Yeah, did I commute? No, but I eventually did go there. And from my trip there, we started a book project, which is really pretty cool. And that's one thing I love about the fact that, when you're traveling around the world and, you start looking at places and you think, okay, what can I do here?
Yeah, yeah.
And we collected a container of books and shipped them to Africa, to an orphanage. specifically?
Yeah.
Because when I was there, I was like, what can we do? You know, can we give you money? No, we don't want money. We want books.
It's amazing how some basic, simple things
Right.
can change lives.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even think about that because we take it for granted.
Yeah. Because they said you could give us the money, but we can't go get the books,
Yeah.
so we want the books.
We're running into that right now with Nepal. Tulsi Mahajan from the Branch Book Club is about to go to Nepal in a week and a half, and he needs books for some of the schools and libraries that got destroyed by the earthquake.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem is they can't buy books and bring them into the country because some of the passes in the mountains have been closed off, and some of the terrorist groups or some of these types of groups are just not allowing trucks to go through. So what we've created now is a site within Amazon where you can go into Amazon, buy these books for the Nepal project, and they will be shipped by air directly to Nepal.
Oh, that's pretty
And-
cool.
Yeah. So those are the kinds of things. Rotarians somehow come together. It's always amazing. Going back to the Katrina event in New Orleans, I announced that we ought to put together some supplies for the people in New Orleans. And so I called the district governor down there. It took me a day and a half to get a hold of him because, just finding
Right.
these people was difficult those first few days. And I said, what do you need? And his response was, everything. So there was a Rotarian in Flemington, in the Flemington Club, who gave us a tractor trailer, and we parked the box out in the industrial park that Marguerite Chandler used to own in Boundbrook. She gave us an entire warehouse with about 3 bays. We thought we were going to fill 1 tractor trailer. We ended up filling 2 tractor trailers in 2 weeks. And the Rotarian from Flemington actually took those 2 tractor trailers and delivered them all the way to New Orleans at no cost. And the Rotarians from every club in our district and from other organizations, other nonprofit organizations found out about it, church groups. I remember being there some nights till midnight, just putting things on pallets and wrapping them up. They were coming in at 9:30 at night. People were still coming in their cars with diapers and, loads of canned
Just
food
basic
and
supplies.
everything. It was amazing. We packed up 2 tractor trailers so tight. I don't, I was afraid when they opened those doors, it was all going to just fall right up. But they couldn't thank us enough, under those circumstances. And but they come together. They always come together in time of need,
Exactly. And it's kind of interesting, because talk about Rotarians, because it's not a public or it's not a political or a religious organization. Rotary can get into a lot of areas and countries that even the UN can't get into, which really just is astounding. I remember hearing a story about when was it a storm or an earthquake or something in Miramar, and they wouldn't let anyone in but Rotary. This was going back a few years. So it does really
Yeah.
show you the power
How
of this
about
organization.
the war in Bosnia? When they had the war in Bosnia, and Rotarians came there for 3 whole days for polio days, where they were going to inoculate some 2 million kids. And they were having a war across the border, and Rotary came in and said, listen, we're here. We've got 31,000 Rotarians coming in from all over the world to inoculate these millions of kids in the next 3 days. They actually stopped the war
Right.
for 3 days, allowed the Rotarians to go in there. Then when they finally accounted for every Rotarian at the end of 3 days, Rotary said, okay, we've got all our people. You can start the war again. And so they did.
Makes you wonder when you go to an international convention, you have folks from all over the world. There's 25, 30,000 people. And oftentimes it's countries who are warring with one another. So it makes you scratch your head and wonder, how can we sit and break bread and be friendly, and yet here we are at war.
Yeah, it is. I mean,
Right?
you think about it, but it's all about individual people. I
Sure.
mean, I know when past District Governor Dwight brought in the group study exchange from Pakistan, and everybody was like scratching their head, saying, "There's no way." But these people were wonderful
Right.
that came in. In fact, I'm still friends with a lot of them on Facebook. And it's kind of that mob mentality. But once you get to know people individually, it's a whole different scenario.
Sure.
So yeah, we may be fighting with another country, but you're knowing individual people. It's a whole different
Well, you can
story.
see it on an individual basis as you travel around the world. The hand always comes out to say hello and welcome, what have you. As soon as they see your Rotary pin, goes a long way.
It does.
It's all about world peace and understanding.
I mean, I was on the top of Machu Picchu one year and had my Rotary
You're on
hat
top of what?
Machu Picchu.
That's in Peru.
Yeah.
Oh.
And
it's outside of Poland. I wouldn't know it.
If it was inside Poland, you wouldn't know.
and I had my Rotary hat on, and some guy came up to me. He's like, "Oh, you're a Rotarian," and he was too. And he was from England, and we just, you know, it's just kind of cool. Although what's really neat is when you go to, especially in South America, they have a lot of visible signs of Rotary around, you know, and it's really very prevalent, more so than you see here in the United States.
Right.
Yeah, because all those wayfinding signs when you enter a town that would have all the Kiwanis and Rotarian lines, those are all gone. They're gone. You don't see those like you used to
No,
back
that's
in
true.
the 50s. I'm dating myself. I wasn't around in the 50s, but I know you were, John.
I was too.
John was around in the 1800s. So what was it like back
Well, I'll tell you,
How
it
was
was
Rotary
very
back then?
crowded at the
How was
crucifixion.
actually in Rotary before it was founded?
before it was founded? I was going to say, I don't think Paul Harris was around in the 1800s either yet, was he?
I don't even know what year I joined Rotary, to be honest with you.
Yes,
I think
but
it
do you
was the
remember who
late
asked you?
Mid-'80s.
Do you remember who asked you?
Yeah, I do.
Everybody remembers who asked
Yeah, I
them.
do. And it's a funny thing. His name was Don Hunt. Don Hook. Don Hook had invited me to the Somerville at that time. Now it's Somerville Bridgewater. And I went, and so an awful lot of people that I knew. I went back again, it's the third time, and then I joined. Well, subsequent to that, he transferred. There was no such thing, but he became a member of the Flemington Club. Then he came back to Somerville, and I sponsored him when he came back to Somerville.
Oh, my
So
goodness.
I sponsored my sponsor.
That's fantastic.
Well, that's what it's all about, you know. If you got to move from one area to another, there's no reason to leave.
Yeah.
You know. And now that we have an e-club, you can just like do your makeups and stay where you are until
Online, yeah.
yeah,
You're working with that, right, Megan?
yeah,
It's
pretty-
working well.
yeah. It's pretty cool. It really is.
It may make up for the people who can't always get out.
Well, it does, you know, because there are a lot of people. I mean, and we've talked about this before. What are the objections? It's either time or money.
Right.
Well, this solves both of those objections.
Mhm.
You know, and
That's a
it's
good thing.
it's a way.
How's
for
that
people to
progressing?
get
Is it, yeah?
Yeah, they're doing good. You know, it's really, and if you've got people who, I mean, they've got members who are in Princeton, Somerville, Hunterdon County, and you can just connect with the clubs that are in your area
Right.
if you want to actually do a hands-on service
Yeah.
project.
Mhm.
But you're a member of this e-club because you don't have time to join a traditional club.
We had an interesting meeting last week. We met at the Votech in Bridgewater. It was the Interact Club. So we had lunch with them.
Mm-hmm.
And it was nice because the students were serving the lunch made there for us. And it was nice. It was 3 Rotarians at a table with 4 Interact students. So it was a nice chance to converse with one another and
That's
offer
wonderful.
some guidance, answer their questions, what have you. And it's amazing the projects that they are doing there. Just wonderful.
Well, we had the Interact students at the Hunterdon Central High School at our soup cook-off last night doing a bake sale.
Oh, great.
And
great.
they do a phenomenal job.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
They really do. It's one of their bigger fundraisers.
Yeah.
And that's a big Interact club. There's like 100 kids.
Really?
I'm in
Wow.
the Berkeley Heights Rotary Club, and the Interact Club at Governor Livingston's over 100.
Yeah. And then the one just down the street a bit north of here is about 200 kids.
Wow, very good.
It really is.
Very good.
Rotary is very strong in the high schools in this
Mhm.
area.
To 100 and Central
Hunterdon Central and then
Yeah.
North Hunterdon.
and North Hunterdon, yeah.
Yeah.
And they really work at a lot of
They do.
projects. It's unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. Now we have 5 high schools in Hunterdon County, but those are the 2 bigger schools,
Mhm.
and that's where Rotary is really active.
Mm-hmm. No,
Yeah.
it's amazing what they do. It's very encouraging.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Well, what's nice about it, as they do service projects and give back to the community, whatever they might be doing, hopefully as they move on in life, they'll join Rotary and have the same good attitude about it.
Mhm.
Exactly.
That's our motto, as you know, service above self.
There you
That's
go.
what it's all about.
Oh, it's not service about self.
Above, above.
I think that's why your e-club is working. Is because they like to do service. They just don't always have the time.
Well, exactly.
With the
And you
club
know,
thing.
and I had the Friendly Sons on last week
Who?
on the show. The Friendly Sons of St. Patrick's. They were on of Hunterdon County. They were on last week, and they have over 100 members in Hunterdon County.
Wow.
And they really attribute it to the fact that it's just a group of guys that like to get together. They do it on a monthly basis, but whenever there's somebody in need, they jump on it and they do it. And
That's great.
they don't have the structure like Rotary does, and they attribute part of that to the fact that it's not very
Right.
structured, that it's just getting together
That's right.
for
It's a
the
good thing. It's a
you
good
know.
thing. Sure.
Which
The
is kind of
social.
yeah, exactly, and it's kind of like the E Club without the social part to it. But they're having a St. Patrick's Day parade in Clinton on Sunday, so we had them on talking about that and about the different things that they do, and it was really interesting to listen to how it works for them.
Right. Right.
Yeah, of course, you know me. I had to ask them how could they actually still have a 501c3 non-for-profit organization with just men in it these days. Ooh.
We won't
You'll have to go
there.
back
We
and
won't
listen
go
to
there,
that.
really.
We still have one Rotary Club in Staten Island that has only men.
Oh, really?
Really?
And women have tried to join it, and they put them through the process to join. And the process seems to take many, many months.
Oh my goodness. It's so interesting.
They're a different breed of people.
Yeah.
Staten Island's a different
Staten
world,
Island.
They
different
need
world.
to start a Rotary Club of just women.
Well, there you go.
Well, it's what happens when you're breathing all that air coming out of the dumps.
Oh, is that what
Oh.
it is? Jeez.
Oh, that's not nice.
No, no.
Hey, listen, if it wasn't for females, we'd be in
We'd be in big
sad
trouble.
shape
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, women have done a lot for Rotary.
Yep.
Ever since Rotary decided to allow women to come in.
Mm-hmm.
Even some of the
Did a
female
tremendous boost.
governors did a
Yeah.
decent
Tremendous
job.
boost.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we've
You
had
didn't hear me.
5 female governors in our district.
Is it 5?
I was the 5th one.
Yeah.
I broke the
guess,
mold, and
yeah.
nobody wants to come up after
Yeah,
me. What's up
actually.
with that?
Oh.
I got to find some
3,
other
4,
females to
5, yeah,
follow
5.
me. Adrian started, and I ended it so
Yeah.
far. And there were a couple in between.
Well, Marsha was in there.
Yep,
Yeah,
Marsha was
Marsha.
in there, and Julie, and
Julie.
Gal from
and,
Hamilton,
and
Yeah.
Frida,
Frida.
Frida.
Frida Applegate, yeah.
Yep, that's
D-
the 5.
JJ, Dr. Giuliano.
We got to get some more.
So
I don't know. We have one in Berkeley Heights that I think has
There you go.
potential.
Start grooming her.
how about Pam?
No. Like you, I'm retired.
I've been trying to get Frank
That's the best
Aracelli
time.
to run for governor.
There you go.
Been trying for about 5 years. He keeps saying, not yet, not yet. And I keep saying, at what point, Frank? When you're 90?
It's a big commitment, and thankfully, there are people who do step up and do it.
It was fun. I will admit it was fun. I mean, it came at a great time for me because it was right after we sold our company, so I had the time to do it, and just figured why not.
Yeah, I can remember so many times, year after year, I talked to Harry Copeland, rest his soul, from the Flemington Rotary Club, trying to get him to be governor.
Yeah.
Same thing. Oh, I will someday.
I called him
someday,
many times,
someday. He
But
was
it's
our,
amazing-
at the first Eat, Drink, and Share. Well, Taste of Rotary International. He was the auctioneer.
Yep.
Mhm.
It's amazing the amount of people you meet and your knowledge that you pick up. You wouldn't know that by listening to the 3 of us here today, but
My favorite thing is every time you go someplace, like you go to the Bridgewater Mall or to a mall at Woodbridge or someplace, and there's a Rotarian from some club that sees you walking through the mall with your wife or your kids, and comes up to you and says, you know, Ellie, how are you? And you're supposed to remember
Yeah.
every Rotarian
Yeah.
in the district.
well, you are.
And my kids make fun of me because they tell me I play the you game. So I look at them and I say, hey, how are you? How
I
have
say, hi,
you
sport.
been?
Good to see you.
It's so good to see you. So what's new with you? I always ask what's new with you because once you get them talking, you hope that they'll say something that will give you a hint about
It'll
when
jog your memory.
and sometimes I don't. Sometimes I just don't get it. And when it's all done, I say, well, it was really good to see you. I hope we see you again soon. Then I take a walk with my daughter, and she turns to me and says, Dad, you have no clue who that was, do you? And I say, not really.
I think we all do that type of thing.
But they all go on the assumption that just because you were the district governor, you know all 1,200 people in the district.
Yeah.
Well,
And
what
you
it
know-
is, as you visit a club or all the other programs we have or a conference, you're talking to a mass of people, so
Right.
they all see you in front of them, so
Right.
it's easy. But for you to know all of their names,
It's very difficult.
it's a little tricky.
Yep, exactly. So anyway, let's get back to Eat, Drink, and Share. Again, Pam, if people want to get tickets, can they still get tickets now, or do they have to just wait to get them at the door?
If they're coming, the clubs, we would appreciate if they would do it through the clubs.
Okay.
But they can definitely get them at the door.
Okay.
That's not an issue. It's $50 that night, and we take cash, credit,
Oh, okay.
checks, whatever. And yes, that's.
IOUs.
No, I don't know if we'd go that far. For
it's
you,
really much-
Megan, we would.
It's really
We
much
can't
better.
bank
if it's
IOUs
a-
at the Rotary Foundation.
I already have my gold ticket.
Right.
That's Monday, March 14th at the Pines Manor, 6 to 9 p.m.
6 to 9 p.m.
Lots of good food, lots
Yep.
of drinks, good bakeries,
Mm-hmm.
lots
and
of
good
fun.
fellowship.
Get
and
there
good
early
fellowship, and a great band.
and choose your poison
Yeah.
first.
Well, it's much better if the club actually pays for their members attending.
Right.
That cuts down on the
The headache of you having to
headache
deal
of
with the
trying
hip.
to
Yeah.
reconcile. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, a
And
lot
then
of
pay the
clubs
club.
take what's called a gold table,
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
which is it 10?
10 seats.
10
I
seats.
Yes.
think it's $1,500. for a gold.
1350.
$13.50.
And they get a Paul Harris recognition for that, which is
Mhm.
a
Exactly.
$1,000 credit
Right.
through the Rotary Foundation.
Right.
So
And then the club can either honor somebody in the community
Yes.
with a Paul Harris or someone in their club with a Paul Harris.
Many times they give it to the past president as they're outgoing, and
No,
Things
we've
like
never
that.
done that. We've used ours to honor people in the community.
which is really nice
Yeah.
to
It's
do.
good. It's good.
Yeah.
We did that one year, and that's great.
Yeah. All of our Paul Harris honorees are actually honorary Rotarians.
Oh.
Yeah. So
interesting.
we've done that to keep that connection, and they've been people who have done some substantial work. Teachers that do the Bridging the Gap program
Oh,
with
great
us
idea.
over the
Great
years
idea.
and things like that.
That's great.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you all for coming today.
a pleasure.
Thank
This
you
is-
for
Thank you
having
for
us.
the invite.
This
Appreciate
has
it.
been fun. I guess I got to ask my pastors and governors to come on more often.
Just
It's the
do
only
it.
time I get to
We'll
see
be here
them.
for you. You know that.
And thank you all for listening in. And go take a look at our website, which is rotarynj.org, and you can listen to this show if you didn't get to listen to it tonight. And you can learn a little bit more about Rotary and where the local clubs meet. This is Past District Governor Megan Jones Holt. Until next time, have a great week and make a difference in someone else's life. And by the way, just as a side note, I will not be here next week, but Pam's husband, Joe, will be filling in.
Mm-hmm.
So thanks to Joe. See you in 2 weeks.
Thank you.